Production Saloons, which is it. We go to the comedy box and join our comedy...
Will you join us when the leaders are in their 5th lap, and leading is that man there, Bob Montgomery, in the 2-litre Opel Kadett, the dealer Opel Team Ireland motor car. He's had a pretty easy run so far. He's well out in the lead, as you can see, and Bob Montgomery, the only opposition is from the man we have just seen come very sideways into picture, John Smith, the Ballymena man, in a similar motor car, trying very hard to come to terms with Montgomery, but so far not succeeding. Then it's really been the battle of the GTIs. Larry Mooney in picture there, now being shadowed by Eddie Regan. Then it's Derek Shorthall, and then Peterson in his red example of the GTI. Then John Williams, and we go back to the leader now at Mountjoy, accelerating out of about a 45-mile-an-hour right-angle bend, up, down the longest, fastest right-hander on the circuit, where the cars, Production Saloons, would get up to well over 100 miles an hour in this part of the circuit. It's also pretty bumpy and pretty narrow there, so it's exciting enough at those sort of speeds. Alongside me, David Kennedy, who I don't think has ever driven in this class of racing, is more used to something a little bit more lively than this, David.
Yes, but I've had a Formula 1 car around this track, and that was quite an experience. In fact, I'm still looking for a psychiatrist to put me right after the experience I had here. There we have a picture of the track and our camera positions. Bob Montgomery, though, as you see in your picture there, car number 2 in the Opel Team Ireland dealers, having a very, very easy time. No pressure whatsoever, really. John Smith, 2nd place. He's also driving an Opel, but his model is an SR, an older version, but it's in the same spec as Bob Montgomery's engine and chassis wise.
So the leader coming up through Phoenix Corner and onto the main straight again. There's Smith in 2nd place in his Opel Kadett. A long gap then before we get 3rd place man. Should be Larry Mooney in the Golf GTI, or is Eddie Regan coming up? Eddie Regan right on his tail, and Mooney's missing, in fact. Larry Mooney, that's one of the back markers, number 41 there. Eddie Regan has got past Larry Mooney, the 2nd and 3rd of those cars. Larry on the right, Regan on the left, and then Derek Shorthall just coming through picture now with quite a considerable pressure from number 22, Clive Peterson. Production Saloons then, almost exactly as you would buy a car out of a showroom. Virtually no modifications allowed to them. All you're allowed to do is stiffen up the suspension a little bit, put safety equipment into them like rollover cages and fireproofing, and just tune the engine, the absolutely standard engine, to the limits that standard production allows.
Bob Montgomery's car, in fact, being even a standard car. There in that picture we have Larry Mooney, Grange Motors, very, very experienced driver, and a great help to young Irish racing drivers, in fact, involved in all aspects of motor racing. Larry Mooney, well known in the Irish motor racing and motoring fields and in the industry.
That's a lovely little car. It's the Golf 1.6 fuel-injected GTI model, front-wheel drive, 5-speed gearbox. Although I think actually Larry's car has just got the 4-speed gearbox in it. Some of the earlier models did. Furiously waving the blue flags to warn the back markers, some of the Fiats there, that the leader is coming up to lap them. He's got his headlights on, and there he is, Bob Montgomery, a journalist from Dublin and one of the members of the dealer Opel Team Ireland, which have been very successful this weekend at Phoenix Park, winning the Production Saloon car team race yesterday. Bob Montgomery then coming up on the long, long straight to lap the little 128 Fiats. And somebody trying very hard in the Fiat there as Montgomery goes out of sight. John Smith should be somewhere in amongst this group. There he is, the 2nd car, number 31, going through there. And Sam in the Mazda, number 42 there, keeping out of his way. Stanley Robinson, sorry. There's number 38 in our picture now, James Tracy in his Fiat. Very popular motor car racing, the Fiat in the up to 1300cc class, and an enormous amount of these cars have been out this weekend. They're very reliable and quite cheap to run.
Quite a quick car, actually. As we were talking about earlier on, Bob Montgomery's car, it is just an ordinary standard road-going car, and there we have it, car number 2. They're quite a potent piece of machinery. It comes with equipped as standard a limited slip differential, which means the car will experience no wheel spin out of slower corners. It has uprated suspension as a natural ingredient, and it's a 2-litre capacity engine with 5-speed gearbox, making it all in all a very, very quick road car.
There's the leader then on his 8th lap at the moment, shortly coming up to complete 8 laps of this 10-lap Production Saloon car race. In second place, Smith, the red and yellow car, going through picture at the moment. That's a back marker. Then we wait for the next man up, which should be Eddie Regan. Eddie Regan, again in an Opel, making it Opel 1, 2, 3 at the moment.
We've had a few problems so far. Number 9, Mervyn Miller, is out of the race. He had some trouble at Ratra. We also have Sean Connaughton was in the pits, car number 35, and he's out of the race. And car number 36, Frank O'Mara, lost his exhaust at Ratra.
So a bit of hopping, I think, down there at Ratra. Ratra, a very difficult corner because you've got to go right down into first gear. It's very, very tight indeed. You're coming off the fastest part of the circuit, and consequently, quite often, quite a lot of damage is done at that part of the circuit. We're looking at Mountjoy, however. Number 20 going through our picture there. One of the many Fiat 128 coupes. That's Graham Morris's car, a Dubliner. And there, 32, one of the quickest cars in this race, Eddie Regan, who is now up into 3rd place, the very experienced Dubliner, who's raced in many different forms of motorsport.
Eddie has raced Formula Atlantic and Formula Ford and just about all the classes there are to have raced in Ireland. He's raced in them and raced very successfully. And now he's got one of the all-popular and conquering Opels in this race. His Opel is an Opel 2-litre SR, the similar type of Opel that John Smith is driving, that's in 2nd place.
Eddie Regan then coming down into Ratra. Incidentally, and he nearly lost it there, went very, very wide, lost a lot of time, and somebody has completely overdone it, coming actually back onto the circuit. Mike Armstrong, number 7 in the Fiat. We just saw him lurking up from the zoo almost, as if he'd been down there for a quick visit. Eddie Regan, of course, incidentally, also one of the founder members of the Mondello circuit, one of the 3 owners that bought it originally. So he's made a tremendous contribution on the left of your picture there to Irish motorsport. And Larry Mooney looks very close to him.
Larry Mooney, as you the car's breaking now from Mountjoy Corner Road. 4 or 5 cars looking for their one spot, and there's a few bent panels from that. Bob Montgomery has to be very careful how he gets to these cars, because they just mightn't be looking in their mirrors, because they've got their own little race going on, and Bob has got to wind his way to these quite carefully. He's flashing his lights. There he goes, car number 2.
Bob Montgomery then on his last lap with a lot of traffic in his way. And this is a very dicey situation indeed, particularly around that part of the course, which is very narrow, because, as David said, somebody can be completely wrapped up in their own dice and don't see the race leader coming up. But that's what flag marshals are for. Lights on, streaming. Montgomery coming right down the box now, down the 5-speed box in the Opel, and locking up the front, getting it a bit sideways there, but nicely under control. Very nice indeed.
I think Bob was playing to the crowd there on the last lap, a bit of sliding, a bit of opposite lock. He's under no pressure. I think he just likes throwing the car around for a bit of show. Very nice piece of driving. We had some news. Car number 7, Mike Armstrong, is out of the race with a damaged wing.
And John Smith not that far behind Bob Montgomery. Another couple of laps. It could have been a different situation all the time. But there is Montgomery. Unless he makes a mistake here, and he hasn't, he's going to win it. John Smith in 2nd place, coming up behind him then. And then we should have a very close dice indeed for 3rd place between Eddie Regan and Derek and the Golf GTI.
We've just had a fastest lap from John Smith, car number 31, in 2nd place, did a lap of 1:38.2.
We're waiting here at the finish line to see who's going to be 3rd. Is it going to be Larry Mooney? It looks like it.
And on our screen,
Larry Mooney. And there's Eddie Regan at the very last lap, right out of it. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. A certain 3rd place thrown away. So Larry Mooney takes 3rd position in the Golf and splits up the possibility of an Opel 1, 2, 3. There's the leader on its slowing down lap. And a very successful weekend it has been indeed for Bob Montgomery, because he was a member of the winning team race yesterday. So he's got an overall win, an individual win, and a team win.
A very successful weekend, all in all, for the Opel team.
Dealer Opel Team Ireland formed 2 years ago.